But a leech is that which attaches itself to a host and feeds from it to grow its own life. So when you see leeches on the flesh of a human being, the leech has to be kind of pried away because it's not willing to give up the suction. So they apply fire and sometimes other instruments to pull the leech away. This anatomy is such that the body wants to reject a foreign entity. So this leech-like activity of the first life cell, it starts rotating, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us, in the triple darkness of the womb. Now just think of a clot, a cell of blood turning in the darkness of your womb. How does it turn? What is the axis upon which it turns? See, showing you that there's light in the darkness of the womb. There's electricity in the darkness of the womb, so that first cell of life, as it rotates, it has to rotate on an axis. It starts dividing, building. Then the leech, boom, it latches on to the wall of your uterus. This is why the enemy is giving the women certain kinds of cleansers that are chemically not good for the strength of your uterus. So when you use these chemicals that have things that take away odor and all of this, this is chemical. But what it's doing, it's breaking down the wall of your uterus. So even sometimes when you wish to get pregnant and you do have the connection between the sperm and the egg, when it gets to the second week or the third week, it can't hold on. And you have a miscarriage. Once that lump of congealed blood is formed, it's a very ugly looking thing. I'm not going to ask a question about miscarriages or abortions. If you've ever seen an aborted life in the clot stage, it's very, very ugly. And the reason you have to use some kind of instrument to take that life away from the uterus is because it's holding firm. The Quran calls it's finding a firm resting place. Isn't that beautiful language? Now it's growing. It's life. But if you take it in that stage, you take it in its ugliness of form. But if you allow it to stay, to turn, it becomes a life. that you can hold and nurse, enjoy, and watch it grow. Why did Allah call this chapter containing these powerful words the clot? See, if you have nothing to attach yourself to, you're a life germ that is like wasted. It's like having a woman having sex with a woman who's not ovulating. Well, you got something out of it, but not life. So you keep trying if it is life that you want until she can tell you that she's missed her menses. Well, where did the blood go that we're used to seeing every 28 days? Where did it go? It became a part of the process of the growth of a new life. You are such a magnificent creation. And let me tell you, for any man to make you think that your only value is his pleasure and not the pleasure of God, then that is an ignorant man that is destructive of civilization. You are who we measure civilization by. We don't measure it by the man, it's by you. So when you are decent, when you are highly civilized, when you're articulate, when you know how to walk, when you know how to sit, when you know how to talk, when you keep your voice moderate, when you know how to be you, nothing more beautiful than you. But you spend so much money on the outside and not enough money on the inside. I'm coming to this. A leech, a suspended thing, because it's hanging now from the wall of the uterus, and it's forming a lump of congealed blood, and it is from that humble beginning that all of us came. It's in the chapter where we are asked to read, because when you don't know how to read, you cannot evolve into the great civilized man and woman that you could become. So illiteracy is a blight on the human family. I see Dr. Larry is here. I wanted to ask you, because I want, when this lecture is over, I wanted to ask those of us not to be ashamed if you don't read well. That's not for you to be ashamed of. It's for the society to be ashamed of an educational system that can turn you out as a functional illiterate. Does that make sense? So I wanted to ask Dr. Larry, is it possible to set up a reading class at night that will allow believers and non-believers who don't know how to read to come here to Muhammad Mosque and learn the value of this first command that God gave to Muhammad. Read. Dr. Larry, can that be arranged? We can do that? Thank you, sir. Do you know we have students at Muhammad University of Islam that are learning a study technology, and some of them would be willing to help their elders, anybody that wants to know how to read. We will not permit us to go on in life illiterate. Now I close. A people that cannot read are as ugly in their development as a clot is in the ugliness of its development. But the clot has to stay in a right environment attached to a source that will give it life. Am I making sense? If there is no attachment, if you're not attached to your school, and we lose attachment, I mean, why would you drop out? I'm not attached to that. Because that may not be attached to you. But here, see, we love you. Now, let me tell you something, brother and sister. This is not punk stuff. We love you. And what we hate is the ignorance that disallows you from realizing your full potential. In this Quran, I close with the 7th surah, the 157th verse. It's about a prophet. Listen, he's called the messenger prophet, the Ummi. U-M-M-I. Ummi means one who neither writes nor reads a writing. So here's God now choosing a man who could neither read nor write. So what should that tell you if you can't read, if you can't write? That doesn't mean that you can't perform and manifest your own greatness. If God chose a man through whom he gave this supreme revelation, who could neither read nor write, but yet taught, and now has 1,600,000,000 followers, most of whom read and write and have become the scholars that have set the world on fire. So, sister, if you can't read, I know there's a pride thing. I don't want to admit that I'm having a problem. But let me tell you something, it's not your fault. You know, it's your fault if you don't do something about it. But listen, family, listen. Do you know, when I was a youngster in school, about 72 years ago, phonics was as relevant to reading as reading itself. So I was a young boy, could read hard words because of phonics. Now you have to go buy phonics because phonics was taken out of the public schools. Why was that?